Hey, what's up? Alex here from Revv. In today's video, I want to show you how to use multiple MIDI channels to control multiple MIDI devices. So using your G20, let's say on channel 1, and using a delay pedal like I have beside me on channel 2 to control them independently so that your messages don't get mixed up and you have maximum control. So before we get into it, I just want to go over again the gear that I'm using. I'm using a beautiful gold G20 today. I'm using my Line 6 Helix to send all of my MIDI messages and as a foot switch controller. And I'm using a SD1 smooth delay. It has a MIDI in port and a MIDI through port, which is a requirement if you're going to be controlling multiple devices with one MIDI device, because what I'm doing is effectively I'm sending MIDI from my Helix into the delay pedal, through the delay pedal into the G20. So I'm communicating in one stream, and this is where we're going to be using different channels. Before we get started, we have to make sure that the Revv amp is not in OMNI mode. And OMNI mode is basically a setting in which the amp responds to every MIDI channel. So all 16 MIDI channels, the Revv G20 will respond to when it's in OMNI mode. So we want to make sure that that's off before we get started. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the amp. And the way to toggle OMNI mode is basically make sure the amp is turned off. You're going to hold the pre-post button and you're going to turn on the amp while holding this button. And then it flashes an LED color and then restarts itself. So it flashed blue, which means that it is now in OMNI mode. So what we're going to need to do is restart the amp again. Do the same process. So we're going to hold the pre-post switch, turn on the amp, hold it. And now that LED flashed red, which means that OMNI mode is now disengaged, which means that we can now tell the G20 what channel we want it to receive MIDI messages on. So to set a MIDI channel for your amp, you're going to want to, again, turn off the amp. And in order to set a MIDI channel with the power off, you're going to hold the store button and you're going to turn on the amp. So once you do that, all 4 LEDs will be flashing red, which means that the G20 is now waiting for a MIDI signal. When they're in this mode, they will automatically calibrate themselves to the channel information that you send them. So while it's in this mode, we're going to go into the editor here. We're going to open the command center. I'm going to find footswitch 2, which I have programmed to send a MIDI PC message on channel 1. And I'm sending program change number 1. So I'm going to hit this foot switch and the Revv amp will then be operating on channel 1. So now that I've hit that switch, those LEDs turned off and went back to the normal mode. So now the Revv G20 is operating on channel 1. And for my other MIDI device, I'm using this delay unit called SD1 smooth delay, and it has a MIDI in port and it has a MIDI through port. And the way I have this routed again is I have a MIDI cable coming out of my Line 6 Helix plugged into the SD smooth delay, and then I have another MIDI cable coming out of the delay pedal into my MIDI in of the G20. So I have kind of a daisy chain of MIDI going on, but the way we're going to control both these units without mixing messages is that we're going to set them on different channels. So what I've done on my delay pedal is that I've looked up the manual. I looked at the manual, and the way to change MIDI channels on my delay pedal is to take a screwdriver and move a physical screw to change the channel. So I've changed it to channel 2 with the screwdriver, and I'm going to be sending these messages on MIDI channel 2 so that it's not actually affecting our amp. And I looked in the manual of that delay pedal, and program message 1 is to turn the delay off, and program message 3 is to turn the delay back on. And I'll toggle it on the pedal so you can see it. There's a little active button on the delay pedal that indicates if it's bypassed or not. So I've got footswitch 3 to turn the effect off, and I've got footswitch 4 to toggle the effect on. And with all this, I can now control my G20 with presets. Like we know we can set presets, and I could set it to many different foot switches and have many different presets with the various amp features going. And I could also toggle on and off my delay pedal using these two independent foot switches. So I'm going to show you a little quick demo of how this sounds and how it can be useful. So I'm going to go ahead and change the amp to the second channel. I'm going to press the store button so that it's waiting for signal. I'm going to hit my first foot switch. So now that I've programmed this foot switch to recall this state, and I'm going to toggle on and off the delay. So that's with the delay on, and turned it off. Great, and there you go. I hope that was helpful as a tutorial for how to use multiple MIDI devices on different MIDI channels to make your pedal board as versatile and powerful as possible. If you have any other questions, please leave a question or a comment in the comment section below, and we'll talk to you soon.